Hey everyone, this is Chris. You're listening to the Dad Regime podcast. Again, thank you. I've got Simon and Joel joining me very shortly. Just a reminder that you can contact us at dadregime@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the usual places. Stay tuned at the end of the episode for a new track from Dorah Jacson. You might remember me talking about her before. We'll talk about her a bit later too. And we are getting close to our first ever Dad Regime event on March 16th. There are still a couple of tickets available, so if you're interested, let me know. dadregime@gmail.com. Let's go.
So Chris, you've got a plan.
Yeah, I've got an idea. I'm going to run it by because it's been ticking over in my head for a bit. I actually did a little blog about it. I like video games. I like video games.
Yeah.
But I don't get a lot of time to play many. And as a parent, even less, because some of the games I might want to play aren't appropriate for my son to see. And I've gotten out of the sort of gamer community, the new games come along and I don't really know anything about them. And then I was like, gee, is there a market? Is there an audience for parent reviewed video games where a parent does a bit of research about a new game, gameplay footage, and then comments on the appropriateness of this game for different age groups? Based on the content, based on the microtransactions, based on the community, based on that sort of thing. What do you think?
Now, when you say a bit of research,
so
you mean your whole 2-week holidays?
So, yeah.
Get your wife to take your son away for the week. Well, I've got to do it. The parents want it.
I can't imagine that it would take up more than, 3 or 4 hours of gameplay a night.
I think it's a viable idea for sure. I think there's channels and options out there from YouTube in terms of gameplay, but probably not from that experience.
Taylor, I'm going to let you finish. I don't think he actually needs an answer for this. I think he already knows that there is absolutely a niche market of parents who are dying to have someone tell them, yes, this is okay, no, it's not, who don't have enough time to go through it. And this is your little way of going, I'm just researching.
I checked it with the boys.
Yeah.
I think Joel's right. I think there's definitely
have you heard of Apex Legends?
Nope.
Okay. So it's been out for, I don't know, maybe a few weeks. It's a Fortnite style of battle royale game, and it's being talked about as the next Fortnite and the next big thing. And I know there'd be a whole bunch of parents out there whose kids are coming home and going, can I play Apex Legends? And parents would have no clue. And mostly we don't have time to find out. And then there's a whole group of parents who aren't gamers, who aren't even going to want to play to find out either. It's different. Like a lot of us will watch a movie first to sort of, vet it to see whether it's appropriate or not. A lot of people aren't inclined to want to do that for a video game. They're just going to trust the ratings on the thing. And we know sometimes they're not always accurate or reflect our own values and that sort of stuff.
Or the parents see the ratings and don't really use that as a guide either.
Yeah. And especially when the kid's coming home going, but everyone is playing it. It's an M-rated game and they're all 10, but everyone's playing it. It's not that bad. It's just got some violence. It's just got gunplay. And everyone's playing it.
And the easiest answer is just say, go on.
All right, let's have a look.
Whereas if they had, 3.5 minute video, really cut it down into size and just said, look, this is what it is and this is how it looks. And
I did wonder though if it would be as effective if at the end of every video it just ended up being, so is this new video game appropriate for your child? No.
I think the parents would appreciate it. I don't think kids would like you anymore. No kids. Your YouTube channel would just be bombarded with teenagers going, what are you doing?
You're an arsehole.
You're just ruining our lives. I think there'd definitely be people there who do it. I think the problem, there's not a problem, but there's obviously a lot of parents who would just continue in the same mind frame that they always are, where they just go, nah, just let them play it.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see the response you would get based on the fact that you are a very keen gamer as well, and so a large aspect of your opinion would be still positive in terms of you don't come at it from a negative viewpoint, which is a good viewpoint to take it from, because a lot of people just go, oh, it's a game. Oh God, well, it's going to be bad.
Or it's a parent with an anti-game
agenda, something like that, and that's it. So it's you don't know whether people would then look at it and go, well, this guy just always praises the games. You'd have to just be well, you'd just be honest, I suppose.
This guy's just negging out on every game.
Yeah.
You know, I sat down the other night because I was like, so what would I actually have to do to produce this? And I spent 2 hours downloading the game, working out how you stream the video and record it, and how I then get it off the PlayStation and onto my laptop. And I started going, I don't know if it's worth it. Like, this is actually like creating content for a video game is actually really hard and time consuming. And so that's why I'm kind of like in this. I think it's a cool idea. I'm tempted to make one just to go through the process and put it out there and see what happens. I don't know if I've got time to produce that sort of content.
I think you're overcomplicating it, and parents just literally want to know. Just give me a yes or no, Chris.
I'll just put it on Facebook right now.
Yeah, can my kids play this?
Yeah,
but it would be a long. It would probably be quite a drawn out process.
Generally,
yeah.
Some of these games you'd have to play for much longer periods to get a sense of where the game leads. I mean, obviously in those sort of battle royale things, it's pretty simple.
Yeah,
but your GTA, an hour and you end up in a strip club.
Yeah, throwing money.
And there was how many year 4 kids that I taught that were playing that game.
And playing GTA, yeah. Because I mean, the complication for most of the games is not actually the content of the game; it's the online
aspect, exactly.
Connection and connecting with people and people not knowing who they're talking to and that sort of stuff. That's
which again, I always ask, and I don't game at all. Yeah. Like the last console I had was the original Xbox.
Yeah.
And when that died, I didn't upgrade. So I'm not a part of that world, but I'm really interested. And I always ask the younger students of the high school, what sort of, you play online, so you play strangers. Yeah. So do you get all that abuse? Oh yeah, they and they can name the 3 most common things that get said to them. Usually homophobic rants, massive F-bombs and some other unique stuff that is just a online world. And they all just sort of laugh about it. Yeah, we just sort of laugh and then shut them off. And it's just a common thing. Like, I speak to other adults who call me homophobic names. Yeah. Oh yeah, homophobic, kill yourself, and there's something else like...
The question with that is, obviously, there is the concern that then comes into their own life and they start using those because they become desensitized to it.
Yeah, well, they all laugh about it.
The kids are laughing about it. That doesn't actually mean much to them at all. It becomes kind of gamer language. Now, I don't know whether that makes it okay. Obviously, it doesn't make it okay to be hurling homophobic slurs at people across, the internet. But if it doesn't have any weight and the kids are laughing it off and it's just something they hear every single night, is it that much of a concern?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. Well, good. That's what Chris's video should be.
Yeah.
Is this a concern? Yes. Okay. Thanks. Let's talk it.
I've got an ethical curveball for you. Then, what's the difference between swearing at the referee and swearing at someone across the internet connection?
Is it a joke?
No. I don't think so. Have you got a punchline?
In terms of any situation, sport, professional,
so players. I'm just expressing my frustration with the referee. I actually don't want to kill him. I actually don't want him to die. I'm just telling him to die because I'm frustrated by his call.
I don't know, really. The difference being the fact that someone's put their hand up to do that particular job and is integral to the actual playing of that sport. If you haven't got a referee, then you can't continue. The game can't play.
Yeah,
it doesn't make it acceptable for anybody to be talking like that. But I'm just intrigued as you are. You know, you're asking the kids, what are you hearing, what kind of things. I'm intrigued as to what level of worry they have about that. And they obviously don't. They're laughing about it. So
No,
it's
but
like,
it becomes part of their dialogue. That's
Yeah.
the issue. It's like the whole. I think I feel like we've actually moved on, even just in the last year, from gay as a real catchphrase for kids to say.
Yeah.
Because I'm not hearing it as much in school as I was a year ago, 2 years ago.
No.
And that was a thing. That was a YouTube online thing that everyone said. And that's been hammered. There's been a lot of response to that by schools, by parents, and that's changed. And that's why I said absolutely yes. Yeah, they laugh it off. It's not cool for a kid to have an adult somewhere else in the world screaming at them abuse, like they're swearing. They get it. They get that it's nothing, but it's not cool. In my eyes, that's totally. You can't have your kid speaking to some random person who's abusing them.
Yeah. From a mental viewpoint as well, in terms of what that's actually doing to them mentally long term.
And it might not do anything. I just think it's not okay. Like the kids might be totally fine. So for me, I guess the real response to your question is, I don't care whether it affects the kids or not. I don't think it's
Just don't
okay.
think it's okay, yeah.
So that's
And I think that's going right back to the initial question in terms of this format that you're considering in terms of these videos. That's a bit of a challenge because, as you said, with a lot of parents, it's not particularly the game that is the concern. It's the online gameplay and the connectivity that they have. And that's the way all games are going to be from this point forward.
What a shame.
It is a shame.
I like my old single player game.
Yeah.
Offline.
Yeah.
In my...
Pants.
What? Is that on my
Sorry. My mind went somewhere different there.
that's how you like to imagine him, isn't it?
That's how I'd like to imagine him recording the videos for the parents. I'm just here in my pants. Let you know what this game's all about. Do it.
Do it?
Do it and see the response.
Do it. All right.
Let's see people listening. What do they, what do they think? Feedback.
People
Let's get some
really
feedback and
need it.
see what people think.
All right.
Get some advice.
All right. Stay tuned.
We can do
All right, you ready?
Yeah, go.
This is happening.
Yeah, okay, go.
So, scenario: you, someone asks you, or you're telling a story, and then you, the name of the band or the name of anything doesn't come into your head.
Just like that.
I'm doing lots of lots of hand movements here, people.
Are you acting this out right now as well?
Gesticulation. You go to think of something, or you're halfway through telling a story, and you just can't think of the name of a person or a thing. And you stop the story because and then you ask people questions, and they're like, "You're telling the story," and you just can't think of this name. The more you think about it, the more you come up with these blanks, and eventually you either remember it or you just go, "Oh, it's not important," or someone just stops you and says, "Look, can we just finish the story?"
I've got to go somewhere.
And you get on with it. That night, the next day, you're sitting on the toilet, bam, the name comes into your head, and now because we have technology, you text that person and really proud of yourself that you remembered, or in the moment you'll get your phone out and sort it out. What's happening there? And the reason I want to talk about this is because it's a very powerful thing that's happening. You're actually forming a pathway in your brain that has a dead end. So you're trying to seek a name, you've got your data in there somewhere, and you're trying to access that data, and the pathway that you've chose to get to that is incorrect. And so when you think of it again, your brain naturally does the same thing that it just did. So it goes down that pathway, and it gets to that dead end. You go, shit. And then you're so desperate to have this that you go straight back down. Your brain goes straight down that same pathway, hits the dead end, and each time the pathway gets wider. It gets stronger, and your brain then chooses it each time you have this idea in your head. As
in, like, you convince yourself the person's name begins with J, and then all you can think is J names.
Yeah, well, that could be it, or it's whatever it is that you've stopped on, that's where it goes. So it just goes to the same thing and strengthens. You're actually strengthening the part that can't remember. So this is an actual thing that happens, right? Dr. Carl suggests, as quickly as you can, stop. So the quicker you actually stop trying to think of the thing that you can't think of, you're going to deaden that pathway.
Righto.
And you're going to allow your brain to get away from it, whatever the responses are or the triggers are, to actually go down, to stop going down the dead-end pathway. And then, hence, the next night or the next day or whatever, you're on the toilet and bam, the right pathway just comes into your brain and off you go. So this is a cool thing. This is how our brain works, right? It works the same for behaviour. It works the same for emotional responses. So at school, I'm seeing the senior kids, and I'm seeing heaps of stress already. The new ATAR system's coming in. Yeah. There's parents who there's a lot of stress around the senior years anyway, and now we've got this new system. So there's just lots of pressure on these 16-year-olds to do well, and to do well from the get-go. Like, we're here, we've hit the ground rolling. And so I was looking at the kids' responses, and I was trying to think about how I can talk to them to help them just get around that literal thought process that they're having. Because I just thought, if every time they think about year 11 they're thinking, I feel overwhelmed, or I've got to do well, and it's all negative connotations, they're building a little pathway there. You see where I'm headed with this? Yeah. And so each time they feel pressure from school, they go down that pathway of, man, I feel overwhelmed. What's going to happen in a week's time, in a term, in that overwhelming feeling is just going to balloon. Now, this is not science. This is just me using that little idea that I've heard about and applying that to emotional responses, thinking, I reckon it's the same idea. The quicker that you can shut off your stress response, or even if you can identify the language that you're having, man, I feel overwhelmed, or I've got to do well, whatever the language is that's putting that pressure on, the sooner you can identify that and then hear yourself saying it and then intervene, the quicker you can snip off that particular pathway. And I guess what you'd have to do then is replace it with a positive. So, find some language of, it's
positive self-talk.
And you guys know, it's that I can't do maths versus maths is very challenging. I'm going to try my best. Yeah, that's the same stuff.
When I was younger, I was a trivia master. Like, I was the guy that everyone wanted on their team at trivia nights because I would just smash it. And all categories, I just had memory, but for anything, song lyrics, geography, anything. Now I'm useless. Is that because all those pathways are dead, or have I just gotten old?
It's called synaptic pruning. It actually is. I know shit. It's called synaptic pruning, and it is your brain saying when things aren't in use. It's like when the computer does a cleanup. Hey, you haven't used this file for ages, let's get rid of it. It literally cuts those pathways off, and so they're gone. Sorry, Chris.
I still remember the song lyrics, just nothing of any use.
No, we're song lyric quiz.
Yeah.
Do you think, I've thought about that a lot over the last few years, especially when you talk to people of older generations. Now, obviously, as people get older, that's going to happen more often than the pruning. Is that the right word? And you can see that in obviously older people. The older the people get, the more information they appear to lose or forget. But even within that, I find that older generations retain a lot of information because they had to. And I understand where you're coming from, but I've also questioned over the last couple of years, do we not know so much because we don't need to? We just rely on everything that we've got in our hands. We've just got our phone in our hands and just go, well.
Yeah, how often do you go to your phone when you can't think of something?
Of a person's name. Or a place. Yeah. And we talked about it a lot, and I always used my wife's grandparents as an example. Amazing couple, well into their 80s and 90s, and could tell you the name of the street they stayed on in 1964 when they went over to Wales, and they're talking to me about Wales. Oh, we stayed with so-and-so on so-and-so street. I'm like, I don't even know what town they're talking about or the person. And it used to blow my mind, the ability, even, and at that age, it does surprise you as well, because you think, well, that's something you probably should have forgotten by now. And yet I can't tell you the name of the road that I have to drive on before I turn onto my street. And I just don't know whether that's a natural cause of the life we live with, the amount of information we've just got at our fingertips. It's just so much easier to just go, I don't need to know it. I don't need to remember things like I don't need to remember how to drive to that person's house. I'll just message them and ask them what their address is, even though they've done it. They've told me. I reckon the last.
I think about that.
I reckon the last
actually.
3 times I've been to your house. I'm like, I reckon I could make it. Nah, I'll just Google search it, and then I go through my phone and go, I can't remember the last time.
I'll just text Charles, except he's not near his phone. Oh, the reception's so bad at Joel's place that
Yeah, I can.
he's
text
not going to
him.
get the
He won't see
message
it till
anyway.
next week, and he goes back to work. It's like, okay. But even the same with yourself, you know, I think you just become used to just going, I'll just rely on something else.
Hey, can you say Wales with a more Welsh accent though?
Was it really Welsh? Wales.
That's better.
That's
Thank
better.
you.
So,
I just feel sorry for your family that probably feel disappointed in you.
I feel sorry for my family all the time, to be honest.
Just kidding, family.
Yeah, but it is interesting to have that, and you know, we've talked a lot about that in work over the last couple of years. That sort of growth mindset idea of trying to turn those negatives into positives. And I think it is a good idea, but I also think it is a very personal thing. And I get where you're coming from with the Dr. Carl thing, talking about, in the middle of a conversation, you're like, oh, what's that band called? You know, they sang that song, and you can't get it. And he's saying, shut that off immediately, and it'll come to you again. Now, I don't know if I can do that. In my own head, when you said that to me, I was like, no way. I don't think I can stop in my head and literally draw myself down a different
That's
path.
because you have a fixed mindset.
I have got a fixed mindset. I'm also fixed on the fact that I want to remember what they were called. And I'm not sure I could just completely switch off.
If you would only trust me.
I trust you wholeheartedly. I just don't trust myself. That's the problem.
I thought we were deeper in our relationship than this, and I'm disappointed.
I think I can actually keep going with this because I've been doing this Write Every Day challenge.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to write like a blog post or something every day for a month. That's initially, and then if I get there, I'll see what happens after that. And I'm posting some things on the Facebook page, some things on the website. Like it just depends on the content and that sort of thing, and or time. How much time I've got to do stuff or whatever. But the reason why I'm kind of doing it is because I'm working 4 days a week this year, and it's. I tell everyone who asks that it's a very selfish decision. Like I'm selfishly creating time for myself because I'm not interested in promotion and stuff like that. So if I'm going to stay in education, I'm going to take care of myself and make sure my batteries are charged, and spend some time doing other things. But I'm really conscious of not wasting that day. And I'm the type of person who could very easily get into bad habits and waste the day.
What, like play video games?
With a purpose.
That purpose is not a waste.
But you're right.
I'm not playing, Joel. I'm researching.
I could very easily waste hours just sitting around the house doing nothing because I've got nothing to do, and I don't want to do that. I want to use the time. So this Write Every Day is sort of my way of trying to be productive and trying to be creative every day to create a habit, so that on the Fridays when I've got more time, I'm trying to trigger that creativity in a bigger way.
Yeah.
Trying to create a new pathway for creativity, so it's not okay. Now I have to sit down and do something because it's Friday. It's now I've got time to really to really be creative, to really do something new on that extra day.
How do you go about it? Because without blowing smoke wherever you want me to blow smoke, to me your blogs are always interesting and fresh is not the word I'm looking for, but it's a different viewpoint on stuff, and they always make a really, really good point. I always feel like I read your blogs and I nod my head when I finish. I'm like, yeah, awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but where does it come from? I know it's probably a very difficult question to answer, maybe, but the imagination of all the different topics you could possibly speak of.
I steal all the best ideas that I can find.
As all great artists do.
I mean, that's kind of the truth. Like, I'll listen to stuff and read stuff, and sometimes something will stick with me, and I won't write about it the next day, but I'll think about that idea or that thing for weeks sometimes. To start this Write Every Day thing, I made a list of stuff. I just brainstormed a whole bunch of stuff so that I'd have something to go back to each day if I was stuck.
Yeah.
And there's been some days where I've been stuck, and I've had a couple of people give me challenges. So there's a couple of blogs that are deliberately, like one of them was you have to write about Steven Seagal. Was it Steven Seagal? I can't remember what the words were.
So they gave you like just a list of words.
Three words I had to fit in, and it had to be in context. And so like I've had a few people give me things to write about just to keep me going. But for the most part, it's just something that I've thought about for a long time. Sometimes I'm writing specifically to someone. Like it is a personal message to someone. Yeah. And usually I'll let them know that hey, I'm doing this. Sometimes it's just general. And sometimes I write stuff and I go, I don't know if anyone's going to get anything that I'm writing about, because I don't consider myself a great writer. I don't even really consider myself a writer at all. It's the easiest and most accessible way for me to be creative and do something in that field. Yeah,
it's just, it is, again, talking about that creativity, and, Joel and I sort of similar. Joel's obviously got your art, and again, that's something else where those ideas have to come from scratch in a lot of situations. And I suppose, same as Chris is sort of saying, I suppose you take influence from things you see and things around you, and from myself and yourself, I suppose, Joel, songwriting. We talked a little bit about that today when we were at work about songwriting, and I just find it very hard sometimes. Even with the ideas, I sometimes have a heap of ideas in my head that I know. In the last 6 months, I've got 4 or 5 topics at least that I know I want to write a song about. And yet it's an absolute drain to try and get myself to sit down and get the ideas out into my head in a format and a poetic style, if you will, that I'm remotely proud or happy with.
Yeah, and like there's, for every blog that I've posted, there'd be another one that I just either didn't finish or I just thought I don't want to, I don't want to publish that. It's a message that I'm not sure I want to own yet, or like I said, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Seth Godin, who's the guy, I don't know if you know Seth Godin. He's really a marketing guru, but he's written quite a few books, and
he follows us, doesn't he?
Yeah, big fan.
Hey, Seth.
He talks about like there is no writer's block. There's no such thing as writer's block. You just have to do the work, and the work isn't always good, and the work might always be something that you're proud of, but you just have to do the work.
Oh, did you repost one of his things, or did you just quote him?
I quoted a bit of his and added mine.
Because I agree with that. I say that all the time in classrooms. There is no such thing as writer's block. You're actually just stopping yourself now from writing. Write a bad sentence, because that will actually lead on to a good sentence.
And again, we've talked about it with music. I know when we've just sat down in the past, and I think it was something along the lines of Bruno Mars that you quoted in saying, I'm not trying to change the world. And sometimes it's okay to write a song that isn't just this amazing message about the way the world is right now.
You can use the word baby in a song if it feels good.
But that's actually the hardest thing I have when doing this writing every day, is that I want to write something that is at least meaningful to someone, and you get stuck in trying to do something meaningful rather than just produce something. And so some of the stuff I've done is just quick, and it's short, and it's an idea, and it's bang, and there it is. And then other things I've thought about for ages, and it's the post has actually grown over a week, because I started it a week ago and I've thought about it and come back to it and whatever. But I'm about halfway through the month.
Feeling good.
Month. No, what's the date? 20
minutes at the end. 21st.
Yeah, so I'm 2/3 of the way through. Yeah, another week. So,
Good luck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Joel, what's on your playlist?
Do you know, Go F Yourself by 2 Feet.
I'm just asking, pal.
Yeah, no, I've heard it before, and I just heard it again today and quickly Shazammed it. I love it. And I am reading a book called The Book of Daniel, which is about Daniel Johns from Silverchair.
Wow.
Who I've loved since I was 15, and he was 15, because we're the same age.
Oh, how nice. Do you know each other?
Yeah. Well, I know him really well.
He's lots of issues and medical stuff, hasn't he? Is it Crohn's disease or something
Yeah,
like that?
he had anorexia. He went into rheumatoid arthritis.
Because that's what sort of ended the career, wasn't it? Was the arthritis?
Yeah, which is pretty much just his... It was very psychosomatic, very mentally driven by all of the emotional stuff. But yeah, anyway, have a read.
So it's not by him.
No.
It's not autobiography. It's a biography by somebody, obviously by somebody else. That's what a biography is.
I forget the name.
What's on my players? I've been reading the dictionary.
It's actually really good because it positions them in musically, industry wise in Australia, which I didn't realise where Australia was in terms of their rock music. I don't know what to do with my hands. Sorry, you can't see this, but my hands are going everywhere again. It positions them really. It talks about why they were so ridiculously successful with that one song when they first came out, because of what was or what wasn't happening in Australia at the time. They actually were really lucky in who managed them in the exact moment that everything just fell together to make this.
I think it happens for most
pretty
people
incredible.
that way. Sometimes it's just... Is it zeitgeist, they call it?
The zeitgeist
of the moment.
Serendipity.
Yeah,
we talked
just
about
at that
serendipity
right time, right place, and everything just falls into place, and everyone just goes, that was perfect for the moment.
So it talked about that. It's good. I'm enjoying it.
Simon?
I've recently watched a documentary on Netflix, which I would recommend to every single human being to watch, because it blew me away in terms of unbelievability. Is that a word? Credibility. It's called Fyre, the party that never happened. I won't go too much into it for the listeners. It's based around the idea of a music festival, an elite music festival.
Oh, the luxury one.
Which was created by this American businessman in collaboration with Ja Rule, the American rapper, whereby they sold thousands of tickets to an amazing music festival on this beautiful Bahamian
That sounds good.
Bahamian island, once owned by Pablo Escobar, apparently. And there was going to be models there, and Instagram models, and there were going to be rock stars and musicians, and there was going to be
luxury accommodation.
You're going to be able to stay on a yacht, and you could buy tickets for all these different things. And they just didn't have a plan of how it was going to work, or the funds in which to actually create it. And the whole thing just slowly but surely comes crumbling down.
Sorry, listeners.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say, which sounds like it would spoil it, but it doesn't, because I knew about the festival it only happened a couple of years ago, and I remember reading about it on lots of different music websites, and just hearing the rumours of what had happened to the businessman who started it, and what all the ways it fell apart.
And it had recently come back into the news because of the court case had settled, hadn't it?
Yes, there was some within the last couple of years, and so I don't know whether because the court case settled, Netflix, and I think a couple of other streaming services, Stan, I think, made their own one as well. Yeah. Because the court case settled, it was like, okay, now we can show this. But they've got this amazing footage of the build-up to the festival, the plans for the festival. They've got great Instagram and Facebook footage from people who turned up to the festival, and there wasn't a festival. And as I said, although it seems like you just go, there was meant to be a festival, and it all fell apart, watch it. Because I can't express enough how brilliantly it falls apart.
No, and I have to agree that there's no spoiler in knowing that the event doesn't happen.
No.
Because you cannot script the ridiculousness of how it unfolds.
No, and I think every 5 minutes that you get further into the documentary, you just find yourself cringing further back in your seat going, oh my, where are they going next for this? Stop! Listen to the advice you've been given.
I was amazed at how honest and forthcoming all those people were too. You must be breaking some kind of, knowing that there was a lawsuit and stuff going on. I couldn't believe how forthright they were in talking about all the stuff that happened.
Watch it, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
Sandy was actually watching it next to me with earphones on last week, and she goes, there was lots of you're kidding. So I'm sitting there not knowing what's going on and just hearing literally every 5 minutes. I can't believe that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Watch it. So long-time listeners of the podcast might remember I think it was last year. I'm sure it was last year. I talked about seeing a young artist at the Imperial Hotel, Dorah Jacson.
Yes.
And she was kind enough to share a track with us that we played on the podcast then. Well, Dorah has just released her first single. It's called Away. And if my editing skills are any good, you'll just start to hear it about now. And she's part of Triple J's Unearthed. I'll put the link somewhere in the show notes. Support a local artist. She's really good. I love this track. See you next time.
So why don't we just play pretend? The truth is on the back of our hands. Why don't we just play pretend? Look at you, did the heart disease your hands? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. So